Who got you sick? Who do we need to go beat up?
Well, there's two running theories.
Hmm.
One very wild, did not even be believable, and one is just so logical. Which one do you want to hear first?
Both of them.
Well, the unbelievable one was last Saturday. I had a coworker show up and we cut up a tree, and we spent all day cutting it up because it's like a 6 foot wide tree trunk that we were cutting up,
Hmm.
and there was fungus inside it, rotting fungus. And my first thought, as the next day I was getting sick, I was like, "Oh no, I'm gonna be patient zero of The Last of Us. I got fungus fibers in my body."
Mm.
The other one is I
Ugh.
played Magic with my nephew and a couple of his buddies from school.
Uh-huh.
And later that night, I started feeling weird. So I'm assuming one of those kids was probably carrying something. And it just, I caught it.
Gotcha. Here we go.
Welcome, everyone, to the 2025 campaign for the next plane. In this episode, we will have three stages to discuss and promote the plane you want to go to next. In round one, we will present the background of the plane, a little snippet, a little set the stage for where we want to go next. Two, what did you like about it? This can be completely subjective, just what you were vibing with. And three, finally, what we want to do with this plane next, what would be fun, and what direction we want it to go. So, gentlemen, I want a good, clean debate, no name calling unless it's funny, and, eh, man, promoting this. Let me think. Yeah, that's about it. We're gonna go ahead and get this thing fired off with the setting the stage. Does anyone want to take the stage first?
I
No.
can.
Yeah.
Oh, also, before Sam takes in, I do want to let the listeners know that Sam is a little under the weather. We have given his voice box 40 life, and as it depletes throughout the episode, he may be eliminated due to his voice box not having any life left. So, and he is starting with 40 life. Sam, you may go.
All right. I want to bring up Alara. Does anybody here remember Alara? The shards of Alara, conflux and all that?
I've heard of it.
Yeah,
Not much
yeah,
else.
just Child of
uh,
Alara, honestly.
okay. So we want to start with the beginning points. So it all started off with ancient Alara that had 5 obelisks built to tame the mana that existed on the plane. Well, they don't understand what happened, but at some point, a millennia before the mending, which caused an event to happen, there was a thing called the sundering, which split everything apart. In doing so, it sent mana of each color, often it's into the blind eternities, which is where the Eldrazi are from. And it kind of went under restructuring, radical restructuring, and each one developed two colors respectively, and that's what birthed the three-color mana that we have today, which is like Grixis, Bant, Jund. Um, oh, I lost it. You get the idea. Uh, Nicol Bolas at some point wanted to recover his energy, and he sought to recombine the 5 keys, the 5 mana together, which created the conflux. In doing so, unleashed a maelstrom, and his goal was to use that maelstrom to power himself up. But in doing so, is what birthed, because of the maelstrom, it created Progenitus and creatures like Progenitus and Child of Alara and stuff like that. And then only you had the last thing we've heard from it before the invasion and Brixia. Johnny is the only thing that stopped him from officially completing his goal. And the very, very ending, the last thing we've heard about it was from Invasion of Phyrexia, and the Maelstrom itself fought on behalf of Alara. So, and that's my opening statement for this. I'd like to go back and see what happened afterwards.
So, I do appreciate the background on that one, and then mentioning the original wedges would make it a good foil to the Tarkir set that just came out, where we have like the off wedges. So that is a point in your favor for sure.
Yeah, I'll bring
Uh,
up other points when we move to the next stages.
Anyone else want to rebuttal that first stage?
No, I think that's a good first stage. Um, I think it was a very good summary of the plane. Um, I do think that during that time, there were a few pauses in the voice for Sam, so I'd say we'd have to take away a couple voice points after that first stage for sure.
Oh, and I just coughed up a storm after that.
Okay,
Ooh.
I think he's down to 30 life points for his voice box.
Oh
Rip.
man, dang!
Um, yeah.
It's a
After
lot
the
of
first
damage.
stage, that's unblockable for sure.
So you're telling me Eldrazi spawned out of that set?
No,
Did that follow afterwards?
no, that is what Tezzeret is was the one that got in contact with Nicol Bolas
Hmm.
within his plan and became a servant of Bolas, and then he planeswalked. When he did that, he went through the Blind Eternities, and
Um,
then that's where it was first talked about. Not the
um,
Eldrazi's, but like this weird force that was inside there.
um,
So that's his main plane. Is Tezzeret the main planeswalker from that set?
No, it was also well, there was one, but she died. They didn't make a card of her. I think it was just a Johnny and Tezzeret. That was it. That was in card form. Tezzeret was talked about, but it wasn't until um he became a planeswalker when he walked into Grixis land of Alara.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then that's when he boom, he didn't even know why he got there. He just knew that he was getting attacked by a higher nobility in his I can't remember where he was from. But yeah, he planeswalked there, and that's how he encountered Nicol Bolas, and that's how it started this whole thing that existed for so many sets.
Did he start out mechanical, like half human, half mechanical, or
No,
was he a
he was
human all
human.
one? Okay.
He was human the entire before, and then before he planeswalked, he like lost his hand, his arm because he tried stealing something. I think it's at least I'm pretty sure
Oh,
that's what that is.
okay.
And then through his machinations, he was able to get like this Ethereum, which is like that metal
Hmm.
Malara, and he like fashioned his arm out of it. That was his goal.
Okay. Sweet.
Stay tuned. Tezzeret did some meddling in mine also in
Why don't you
my
go
set.
ahead then? Why don't you go ahead and talk
What?
about your set then?
Okay. Well, I'll be talking about Kamigawa. So I mean, by most metrics, Kamigawa was a bit of a flop. I think it was like originally came out in the early 2000s, and it was a three set block. And there's a few books made about this. So if you're interested in like Japanese folklore and stuff like that, they really adhered to that. And there's a lot of lore out there, but I'll give like a little snippet of it. So in Kamigawa, there are two realms. So there's a spirit and a material realm. And Kami and all the gods and all the other spirits obviously inhabit the spirit realm. And but meanwhile, like on the material realm, the background of Kamigawa is sort of like feudal Japan in like whatever 1400s, 1500s for a point of reference. And in this time there's like a million legendary creatures you could talk about. They're all expanded upon in the books. And Kamigawa still to this day makes up like a large portion of the legendary creatures like ever released. Like they had such like a what do you call it? Yeah, there was just an absurd amount of legendary creatures released in the OG Kamigawa block. But in this story, Kami slowly began to sort of trickle into the material realm, and then, the mortals of Kamigawa started to like worship them. They constructed shrines, and these are like a card type and enchantment subtype that was like originally in Kamigawa, and then there's a couple other releases, so there's a decent chunk of those out now. Um, let's see. So it's feudal Japan. There's this one guy named Kanda. He has various cards, and he sort of a warlord of the time, and he had a lust for power, and he captures a kami and uses the kami to become immortal. And this makes all the kami and spirits mad. And this starts the Great Kami War. They come in and they start killing mortals left and right indiscriminately. And this is like the first half of Kamigawa. And the Neon Dynasty, when they brought it back, I can expand on that later. But that's it for that part, I believe. And some notable abilities from the OG Kamigawa is Channel and Ninjutsu.
And
Some of the other
Bushido.
ones, yeah, a lot of the old like keyword abilities were never brought back.
Oh,
Um,
don't forget Splice into Arcane.
Yeah.
and the very rare patron offerings.
Those are cool. Lots of cool spirits to look up.
I do have one question. Is there a Kami Chameleon?
Well, you see changelings. I don't know.
Well, I isn't like the man, my brain is Sakashima of like two faces of a thousand faces
Hey,
or
there
something
you
like
go.
that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
so
would totally
there
work.
there is a Kami chameleon for sure.
That is,
Perfect.
that sounds like a fire altar. That, yeah.
Just what is it?
Let me write that down.
Okay. The Boy George secret lair.
That'd be sick.
Man. So I can go ahead and take the stage next.
Sure.
Do it.
Okay, so
Wait, you didn't say how many points Keith got from that first part. You gave Sam points. You didn't give Keith
oh
any
no
points. How many
no
points does Keith have?
I'm not doing points. I was just saying how much life
That's
Sam's
a
poor vocal cords
deteriorating
had
left
left.
health bar.
Oh, no, I think what he was talking about is like you rewarded points for something about swaying your opinion.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
Oh, okay. So then uh I'll give points for setting the stage and also taking about 1,000 volumes of lore and condensing it into 3 sentences in a way that made sense to everyone. I think.
It's absurd. It's a lot of info.
Well, at
Go read
some
a
point
book.
too is Keith will be able to segue into after what I talk about because basically the main character of mine goes to his place.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Jump right off there.
Yeah, that was a good connection point. I'd give a point for connection segueing.
So, segue point, connection point, and a Spark Notes point. So there you go, Keith.
There'll be more sparks ignited in the second half of my story.
Oh,
Hey,
Aether,
probably.
Aether Sparks, or
What? Close. Close.
okay. I'll take the stage for real
Yep,
this
take it
time.
away.
Okay, I would like to present Kaldheim. In
Huh?
this world is presented around the world tree. In this world, there are 10 different realms, all connected by the world tree. There is a space between called the cosmos, and it is essentially like looking like Aurora Borealis out there, but full of spirits, like Northern Lights vibes, cool as heck. Each branch of the world tree, like I mentioned, is a different realm. And in these realms, you have a realm full of giants, a realm full of zombies, a realm full of elves, a realm full of humans, a realm full of angels, a realm full of demons. It's in a realm full of shapeshifters who's everything in between. You have everything in this. And then they can connect in two ways. You can have your omen paths where through which is kind of the safe way to travel through just being like a good wizard and studying runes and stuff. You can find ways between the realms. Um, and then there's the spicy way, which is the doom scars, where like the forces of the universe overlap like tectonic plates and make ripples, and you present doom scars where the planes overlap, and then you have all the different types of realms fighting each other for resources, and you have your conflict. So it that is essentially the physiological realm breakdown of that world, and essentially there was old gods and gods. The current gods, don't want to butcher the name here. The Scoti is your like your Asikas, your Jorns, and your Burgies. They took over from the old gods, but they're like flawed. They're not like those Theros gods that are indestructible. These gods are a little more mortal in behavior, have a little more hubris to fall on. So that makes for more fun stories. And uh, they have their god powers through a substance uh, that Asika makes from the world tree, and it's an elixir from the world tree, and it makes them all godly and sparkle like Edward Cullen. Uh, but yeah, so essentially that's like the realm. You got the gods who are pretty fighting for glory and such, and then the story starts whenever Kaya, the planeswalker, is hunting a beast. Fun fact, it's a Phyrexian, and then you have to go chase that bad boy down, and
Which,
then
just to add on to you, you
yeah,
and Keith share a story because of Tezzeret that you have Vorinclex and Jin Kataxis show up to those planes respectively.
Mm.
yeah. So you have Kaya hunting down a Phyrexian monster. You have, and if that wasn't enough chaos being sold, you have everyone's favorite chaotic planeswalker, Tybalt, going through and essentially touching everything that he's not supposed to. Like he bodies poor Cole, who is this awesome dwarf artificer who makes a sword that can part the realms, and so you can travel faster. Uh, Poor Cole caught astray, and then Tybalt gets that sword. He can go between the realms, and then he incites violence with everywhere he touches. And then it's up to uh, uh, Kaya and Tyvar. They team up and best Tybalt. And that's kind of the spark notes of Kaldheim and the story. Uh, it is very fun. I still think there's room to take it. Maybe Tybalt and survive that encounter. So later on in my stage, I will kind of explore that avenue. The floor is open for any debates or rebuttals or comments.
Yeah,
Yeah, painted a good picture of the realms, the various realms like surrounding the world tree. I thought that was good. Um, Obviously lots of parallels to Norse mythology and stuff like that. So they have loads of fuel they can draw from in the future.
Nathan, the floor is yours. What plane are you representing?
let's go to a place where there's always a bigger monster. Let's go to Ikoria, the lair of behemoths. So this set came out in 2020 in May after some delays here. Um, this set uses big monster movie tropes, especially pulling from kaiju, like Godzilla, Mothra, etc. Monsters are the focal point, and you have giant monsters fighting other monsters, along with monsters fighting against humans and their cities. As the plane grew, humans worked on ways to stave off the monsters. However, in this plane, the monsters found ways to mutate and get around the fortresses, which led the monsters to further destroy the humans on the plane. Um, Ikoria is an island continent with five major geographical regions called triomes. Each triome has its unique terrain, a dominant clade of monsters, and a fearsome apex monster that runs the triome. The triomes came into existence due to the unique flow of magic through the land of this plane. Each region is the result of three distinct type of mana mixing. The triome units help the apex predators on the plane thrive and take on their enemies, with triomes focusing mainly on enemy colors instead of colors that complement. The plane is covered in crystals, and that's what power growth and evolution in the monsters in the planes. Some creatures just grow big and powerful when they mutate, and others uh, kind of warp their forms altogether and become something completely different. The crystals in the planes flare when monsters are close by, and that kind of gave humans a heads up when they were coming. And they also help kind of power the plane. The biggest crystal on the plane was the ozolith, which was known to be tinkered with by a meddling unnamed planeswalker. Planeswalkers who like to meddle, think about it. Um, and then he made it to, or she made it to where it made the monsters go crazy and mutate rapidly. And then later, the ozolith was destroyed. And during the Sundred Bond, but the pieces helped actually to speed up the growth of the monsters still. Um, the plane's main inhabitants are humans, bonders, which are humans who bond with the monsters, like Avatar, kind of hooking into the monsters or using them, and then hunters. They either hunt for profit or for sport or just like for vengeance. And then you have the creatures and monsters. The only native planeswalker to this plane is Luca. Um, and then this plane was all about players being able to build their monsters using their new mutate mechanic that saw big creatures using different abilities that players could build their decks around in order to make creatures harder for opponents to beat. Uh, Players were also given the companion ability to use a legendary creature from outside the game, kind of like sideboarding it. And then if you followed the rules of that companion, you could bring it into the game for one time, which was kind of cool, bringing outside creatures into your play realm. And then the other thing that was kind of cool about this set is there's 22 different cycles in this set. It's quite a bit. For me, the big ones would be the ultimatums, the triomes, the rare mutants, the X mutants, companions, and the mythos cycles. So that's kind of what I have for just the summary of the plane, and then I have more of what's gone on in the plane and things like that in the next parts that we're going to talk about.
Yeah, I think that's a great background and giving a good a reason behind like why there are these monsters that are mutating, and it's kind of fun to have that uh, nature adapting in order to overcome outside forces. So as you really did a good job of setting the stage. So I give you an evolution point.
Perfect. Perfect.
Any other comments on Nathan's opening?
Yeah, if they go to revisit that, it would be the perfect segue to a Monster Hunter
Hell
Secret
yeah.
Lair.
Yeah, I think that would be cool. And
That's
since
a
we already kind of had
that'd
the
be sick.
crossover with Godzilla and all that, I feel like it'd be easy to kind of reskin some cards and add some new ones.
This is the rule of cool round. Anything that you thought was really neat for this from your plane that you're representing today, I want to hear it. I want to hear your what you find exciting about it, engaging about it, and just why you like it so much.
I think I started liking Alara more once Conflux came out, because that's when Maelstrom was created, and it's poured out all these creatures that I adore that of mostly 5 mana callers. Like I fell in love with Progenitus, because at the time, just couldn't touch it. It do whatever it wanted. And then you had this baby, Child of Alara, that if you killed it, it would destroy everything. Just flavorful. Um, my favorite card that came from that whole storyline and cards was a Yidris Maelstrom Wielder. Because anytime he dealt combat damage to a player, you get to get cards in your hand, spells in your hand, get Cascade, and I thought that was always like something major because that got made in 2016, but it made that Maelstrom chaoticness built into him, and it was just so flavorful. I'm hoping that when we go back, that instead of just being 3 color blocks, we get 4. Instead, maybe somehow the pieces started adding other colors to it because of the chaos that's coming through it. But I'm hoping to see either more Wooburg 5 color cards. Because I don't know, for some odd reason I'm really getting into that. And I'm just hoping that there's more of it. Um, and I'm a big fan of Cascade, but who isn't? Getting something free off something, cast something.
I do think that giving the players more color options, I think the reason that a lot of the partner commanders are so popular and competitive is that people have 4 color options and the right pairings. So just having that like come standard issue with some more creatures, I think that would make it a very popular set. And with the background that you gave with like the different shards and maybe gaining more colors and strengthening more, that makes a lot of sense and story wise and logically to go ahead and present more 4 color commanders, which I think would be definitely welcome to the community because we are there. There's like Atraxa, and the 4 color commanders seem really few and far between.
Yeah, I was
Now,
just looking at a list of those, and I saw a lot of comments saying that like four color commanders basically how did they put that? They do what color they don't have or something like that.
And were you saying that you want more Wooburg commanders? Because I didn't know that
Have to
I
fly
had a
high.
fellow Wooburger. I thought I was the only goofball that
Blueberg.
played 5 colors and had a hard time playing sometimes when the lands don't fall my way.
I
I
used
feel
to be a big Wooburg player. I haven't been much anymore because there's just not many like that I like.
Yeah,
I feel like that's gotta be hard, but by like a design standpoint, it's like the colors can do literally everything. So
yeah.
I don't know. Maybe a more focused Wooburg commander. I don't know.
I don't know. I know
We'll
Tezzeret, he's
see.
going to be going to from his shenanigans that he's done going into the next set, Edge of Eternities.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll see something there.
Keith, what did you like about Kamigawa the first time around, or the second time around with Neon Dynasty?
Um, I like Neon Dynasty a lot, mostly because of like the cyberpunk setting. I just think it's really cool. A lot of like the spirits in Kami have sort of descended and started working together with people. And this is like shown in many cards. Like spirits can inhabit like artifacts to create like mechs and other cool subtypes and artifact like equipment. Reconfigure is like a unique mechanic in this set. So it's like an artifact creature that can also be an equipment if you pay like a reconfigure cost, which is kind of cool. That's sort of unique. They haven't brought it back yet, but yeah, and their sagas are really cool if you read the flavor on those, look them up. They tell like a story from the original block, and then after the saga is done, it will exile and flip, and then you get like a spirit creature out of it, which usually is what the whole story's about. Those are pretty cool. Um, what else did I like about it? Mostly the setting. The art style, neon futuristic. Just there's so much they could do with the setting. They could flesh it out because in the second like story block, it mostly focused on Kaito Shizuki, who eventually becomes a planewalker in the story. Spoiler. And but they didn't expand upon, like the city life. There are different factions in Kamigawa. They've got like these street gangs and undercity sort of factions doing their own thing. Um, but yeah, I they could do some more world building there for sure. And even evolve from there. But I kind of hope they stay a little bit because of the sci-fi setting.
It is
Yeah,
also noted that instead of doing splice onto arcane, they did reconfigure. They kind of kept that like that style of if you add stuff together, they get better.
Yeah, and sort of similar to I guess vehicles, but this one is a creature equipment, and then vehicles are just an artifact with ability and can become a creature.
yeah, I kind of thought of it as almost like an attempt to do Megazords with so I kind
Voltron.
of Voltron it up, like the literal Voltron archetype of like the legs of this, the hands of this, and with our powers combined, we can, and the inspiration of Zordon, we have our Power Rangers go beat up stuff.
And it could be a perfect segue into a Gundam crossover.
It really could.
Yeah,
Anybody listening or watching this, you heard it from here first.
I've seen lots of like alters of that. What's that one ability where you like I think it was just in Aether Drift or some artifact set where, you exile an artifact, exile something something, and then you get to flip the card and then it does a whole bunch of cool stuff. That is so vague, I know. Uh,
Yeah.
That was from the Aztec plane. I'm forgetting the name of it.
Ixalan?
Ixalan,
Ixalan.
Excellent. Yeah, those. Yeah, it was something into artifact. Oh God.
because I was looking at Reckoner Bankbuster, and it's a 2 mana artifact vehicle, and it comes with charge counters. You can remove them, draw a card, and then once they're all removed, you get like a creature out of it. But your sort of like Zord comment earlier would make sense with this other ability in like creating something bigger and better. Sort of a combination of the two, which maybe that keyword should have been in Kamigawa instead. I don't know.
They can absolutely take from
I need to
the
find.
later sets and then use that to kind of support the mecha aspects that they brought into Kamigawa for sure. So
True,
that
true.
we're kind of dipping into stage three with this conversation. So you
Well,
might want to
okay,
pivot while you
I,
still have some juice in the
I'll try.
tank. Any more comments for Keith and Kamigawa before I circle to what I like about Kaldheim?
Sure. I didn't mention the art, but Moonfolk in the OG Kamigawa are just a really cool like creature type that I
Crafting,
like.
Keith. It's craft.
Craft. Okay. All right. Let me look up a craft card example. That would go perfect in there. Yeah. Craft with one or more creatures or artifacts. I just think flavor wise, that would really belong in there with the commies combining with, tech to make something cool, such as the reality chip, which that's a big like story piece in this set. Anyways, I think that's all I have for that.
Okay,
Thanks for the
so
assist there.
Uh, bef Before you go, where's Sam at voice wise?
hey, hey Sam,
He was
Yeah.
at 30.
he was at 30. I still think he has a little left in him. He might be able to get through this. I think he's probably about uh, 15 hit points left. I think he can just barely. I think he can make it though.
Ooh.
I have a stunning reversal. I've got Ricola in my pocket,
You,
ready to go.
oh wait, I think did you just regenerate about gain about 5 health there?
No, stunning reversal just says if I lose the game, I come back with 1 health.
Oh, oh, nice.
Be back right after this.
Have you ever wanted two soul rings? Would having your opponent's talismans, signets, and stones be a fun time? Could you use some extra mana but don't have a slot for them in the 99? Are you playing a splash of red? Treasure Nabber is more than happy to help you out. Captain Lannery Storm said it best. Opposable thumbs, opposable toes, prehensile tail, no boundary issues, no treasures, safe from a goblin. For just two in a red, you can bring out Treasure Nabber, and he will make sure you get your opponent's tapped mana artifacts until end of your next turn. Take hold of all your opponent's ramp artifact pieces and use them to your advantage. With the Treasure Nabber, the law of Givesies Backsies is respected by every noble pursuer of shiny things. Give Treasure Nabber a try today. Treasure Nabber! We can be found just down the street from Ragavan's Bits and Bobbles.
All right, Josh. I think you're up.
Uh, and before I do that, Sam gets one product placement point for Ricola.
I've went through whole one bag this weekend, and it's
All
just
right.
Saturday.
Oh Lord, you're a trooper. Anyway, going to Kaldheim, I just love the whole Viking and metal aesthetic. Everything just seems super brutal, and I like a thinly veiled excuse for all of the creatures to fight each other. That's just it. It's just the rule of cool. You have your angels and your demons and your elves and your dwarves and your zombies and your giants just all in this huge battle royale. Just Tibble just kind of set the stage by making a big old Doomscar, so all the realms touch and get angry at each other and just start swinging like crazy. So anytime you have an option to put a ton of different creature types and make them make sense together, I'm here for it. And from there, there's kind of with that whole really cool metal aesthetic, I did want to shout out some artists that kind of really set the stage with some of the alternative arts. That would be Richard Luong. Uh, I don't know how to say this, just DZO. I don't know if you actually pronounce that together. And then Jeff Miracola, they brought a lot of life into like the altars to really kind of set like the brutal metal like stage for this, and it was a really cool thing to play. Lots of Keith had mentioned before, there's like a lot of dual modal cards, which is nice. Like the gods had two sides to them, so having an option to play an artifact from the command zone is pretty fascinating and fun. Can make for some nifty builds. I actually have a Jorn God of Winter deck where on his front, when he attacks you, untap all snow permanents. On his back, he's an artifact that you can pay to bring snow permanents from your graveyard to the battlefield. Just having that like utility uh, and the option to play either side depending on where you are in the game is a really cool mechanic. So the dual modals that also just having snowlands back is really neat just because uh, they were almost it was really they weren't nearly as accessible before that. They hadn't gotten a reprint in a while, and the two colored dual lands or the two colored lands that intertapped the two colored snow lands, they are like mountain plains and stuff like that. So you can search for them with Farseek and stuff, which is really nice. So if you need help rounding out like some deck colors, don't sleep on those. They're still pretty cost effective, I believe. So yeah, just a thinly veiled excuse for all of the creatures to fight each other is in a sick metal setting with a Viking lore and sub themes throughout. Can you get any better than that for the rule of cool? Uh, the floor is open for debate.
I think not.
I'm a big fan of the uh, dual colored lands. Those are what I used a lot of in my what if deck because I can search for them and bring them out, and they're a lot of fun. But I do like the big stompy effect that we have in Kaldheim and just everybody swinging out. I think it's pretty cool that you've got everything from a tiny little like mouse all the way up to a god, and they're all just punching each other in the face.
Yeah, the fact that like Toski, a little squirrel, who lives in the cosmos, also shares that cosmos with Komo's coil, or like Koma, who is like this huge serpent who pretty much exists in the entirety of space. It is just really sets the stage for every form of creature that you can have. So it's really cool.
Yep.
Okay.
+1 to their showcase frames. Probably among the best that they've done so far. They're just gorgeous cards. Just want to add that in real quick.
Oh, yeah, thank you. So now, anything else on Kaldheim before we go over to Nathan?
Hmm.
Okay. Now, Nathan, what could possibly be rule of cool with giant monsters? You're in a really tough spot here. How are you gonna get yourself out of this one?
You're right. I don't know, but I'm gonna try. I like that we were given a set with new mechanics, and creatures that gave a nod to Godzilla as the jumping off point, which is, I feel like, where a lot of people got their love for big monsters is Godzilla
True.
or Kong or, things like that. And even before that, you've got like the original monster movies of like Dracula, Frankenstein, Swamp Thing, etc. Like, I just think everybody loves monsters, and the fact that we got a set where it's, growing up as a kid, you get to finally play with the monsters that you used to watch on the TV. I think that's super cool. Um, I think the comic book treatments that we got for the big creatures, along with the Godzilla alternate arts for creatures, those were a big hit for me personally. And I'm still trying to collect all the different Godzilla alt arts. If anybody has any and wants to trade, just let me know.
Uh,
Um,
which one specifically?
I
Maybe
Well, you
don't
can give
know.
it to me
I'll
Sam
have to
has
later.
a
go
few.
back. Yeah. And then uh, being able to kind of build more with the mutate or companion mechanics, I think was super cool, giving us more of stuff in the text box to help you kind of make cool decks. I think that was really cool. And then I also have nostalgia for this set because when I moved from Indiana to California, I kind of my cards went away for a while, and then when I came back, um, this was the first like big set that got me really excited and back into Magic, and I think that's why I have like so much love for this set, along with all the pieces inside of it. And then my favorite cards from the set would have to be like the Ozolith, Shark Typhoon, which is a nod to Sharknado, which is great. We have the Triome lands, Colossification, which is just an insane card. We have the ultimatums. We're given Kinnan, the Bonder Prodigy, which he's just awesome. Got him in a couple decks. He's great. The uh, Danish Magistrate, just making it to where your opponents can't do stuff is always fun for you, not for your opponents, but for you is great. And then, like I said, the Godzilla alternate arts. Um, Having to buy like collector's packs and stuff like that to get them was rough, but it was still fun. So those are my those are my points that I'd like to make for it being a cool set and why we should go back.
Yeah, so I would say absolutely just fun with big splashy spells, big splashy creatures. Everything was over the top. You mentioned Sharknado and all of that good stuff. Just like everything that you would want to push boundaries of, they did push boundaries of, which is a lot of fun. And I have to give you, let's see, the ultimatum, splashy spell point, big creatures, big creature point. Daneth Man is straight, minus point. But here we are.
Real.
I have to give it a minus point only for one reason, and it's not Nathan's fault. It was they did Space Godzilla so dirty by making it just one color.
Ah, yeah, that's unfortunate.
Well, and
I,
they had to, and it was an unfortunate name for that Godzilla anyway. That it was so unfortunate that they had to
I've got both
rename him,
versions.
and they had to make another version and rename them, so it's cool that you have both versions.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Lore drop.
Yeah.
It's like a Corona thing, right?
Yeah.
It was one Death's Corona, and then it became Void Beckoner after that.
Mm.
Yeah. So,
Oh,
oops.
also,
Yeah.
Oopsie.
I do want to also say, like, Nathan having like a personal touch to it, like it being the one where he came back to Magic. That was nice to have that personal connection. Uh,
Nostalgia point.
Nostalgia point. Also, like Kaldheim came out like in the middle of COVID, and I remember uh, we just whenever it came out, just like you collect the box and you just kind of play. That was like the first one you just kind of had to bring home and play
Yeah.
with your friends.
Yep.
So just like having a little bright spot of like new cardboard to touch in the middle of that was nice. I didn't say it during my rule cool, so I don't get any points for that, but just I didn't think about bringing like any sort of personal pathos into it, and you get points for actually taking it there.
Sweet. Love to hear.
So, Mutate's super cool. Obviously, doesn't have a lot of support, but in standard, when I was like on Arena, you can do some really zany and out of control stuff with that. Would love to see some more Mutate cards in the future.
I do think they need to show on the card a little bit better for to explain how the mutate
Yeah,
stack
they
works. I
could
feel like that was
rework
a
it
little
for sure.
yeah, because I know like I had some people who I was getting into Magic at the time, and they th saw all these cool cards, and then they're like, "Oh, cool! How does this work? And how does this resolve?" And I was like, I need to Google it."
Yeah, I think if they build it kind of like Hex Drinker and stuff like that, where you can see like the different levels of the creature or like what happens after you mutate, I think that would be
Oh,
helpful.
that
Like
is,
Also,
yeah.
kind of split the text box a little bit more. It's just there's a lot of it's like the text box wasn't big enough for what they were trying to do.
yeah,
I
I
still think
think
it's really cool though.
yeah, I kind of accidentally bridged that a little bit into section three, so we can revisit that too if you already had a
Mm.
point of that. Anything left for the rule of cool for Ikoria before we go to stage three?
No, I think we're
Okay,
good.
Sam, what do you want to see them do next with Alara?
Well, like I said, I'd like to see more four color iterations. If not four color, maybe do more five color. Stay away from doing anything Eldrazi. We need to take a break from that. Uh, more cascading. I'd like to see a little bit more flavor of. Let me find it here. Make sure I get it right. Um, that Tezzeret still has the planar bridge in his chest, and the fact that he has access to a dark steel body. I want to see more of that. Is given since it's dark steel, his body's indestructible now. I want to because I know we're going to see him coming up in the next set, but when we if we ever go back to it, I want to see the destruction that not necessarily maybe destruction, but because the Maelstrom helped out the plane when the Phyrexians joined in, I want to see the cohabitation of the Maelstrom and the plane and see if it became more of a partnership than more of chaos versus law and order. I'd like to see the child of Alar grown up, just see what
Oh,
kind of
that'd be
creature he
cool.
became or
The
it became.
toddler of Alara?
Yeah, the teenager.
It's not a
Uh,
phase, Mom. Sorry.
no, it's all good. Maybe a more powerful version of Progenitus. I know people would probably argue against that, but sue me. But my debility, my last points I'm gonna set up here for Josh and Keith. Um, it was because of what Tezzeret did that they sent Jin Kataxis to cause chaos in Kamigawa, and then sent Vorinclex over into Josh's Kaldheim realm that started all that up. So hopefully, because of their interventions, you guys can figure something out on that. The damage that he caused, because He was working with them. That's it.
Yeah, so maybe the combining of the Maelstrom and the plane, that can be the lore reason behind stapling on an extra color to the triome and having more four color options. You think that does that make sense?
Yeah, and it could bring about more double colors, like having two red, two green, two blue, like Progenitus is. So like you have all the five colors of the Maelstrom merging with the five colors of the realm. So maybe something even bigger comes out because of it.
Yeah, like have a big cost restriction, but have a huge payout for it.
And then
Yeah.
just make it even cheaper by playing a shapeshifter or somebody that takes cost down really far, like Morafon.
But because it was made from the chaos of the Maelstrom and the law and order of the planes, that it's very unstable. So maybe it'll explode or um get uncontrollable at some point. I don't know.
Yeah, or there's like a turn counter to where you only get to use it for a certain amount of turns
Baiting
before.
counters maybe.
Yeah,
Oh, bring back cumulative upkeep.
Well, they still have Braids of Fire, so you have to make it like a very specific cost.
Hmm.
Maybe you have to pay like you have to add every single mana color to it each turn.
I think a ticking clock for somebody that has a giant creature or whatever it's going to be. Like at the end of your fifth turn, you lose the game. So
But every turn it
Banishing.
gets stronger.
Yep. Then you
yeah,
you have it. And then I like an opportunity to bad gift something nasty to someone too, so that could be fun.
I like it.
yeah.
Harmless Offering, can't beat it. So take it away, Keith.
Could you prompt me real quick?
You're prompted.
So no, after you. Who's prompting?
You are. You
I'm
can
prompting.
prompt. Sorry.
Okay.
Let's be
So
prompt.
okay, Keith, what do you want them to do with the plane of Kamigawa next?
Okay, so we alluded to it earlier, but yeah, there was some meddling with some planeswalkers and a praetor. So Kaito, it follows his journey throughout this and how he becomes a planeswalker. So Tezzeret and Jin Gataxias are on there, and they're like trying to harness the power of spirits. So there is a character named Tameshi who creates a reality chip by, like channeling and understanding like the powers of the spirits and spirit realm. So when the reality chip gets made, it sort of like amplifies abilities. So for planeswalkers, I don't know, lets them planeswalk better. Just makes them stronger in general. And so that's the extent of their meddling. They get that, and then the story for Neon Dynasty kind of ends up with Kaito and everyone planeswalking out of there, getting jumping ship, and the Wanderer's there also. Didn't mention her previously, the Wandering Emperor. But in the future, let's see. I think I would like to see the plane become like a tech hub, and maybe like build the tech to like bridge other planes together, do their own portal magic, whatever. It just
I'm just gonna
becomes
speak the elephant in the room with my voice that I have left. Keith just wants a cyberpunk version of it. I know that's what he's leading towards.
Or like a Fry's
maybe.
Electronics.
Oh, maybe I think like a lot of like mecha-based animes, they actually like build like ships in different flavors to like go into space and stuff. I feel like that would be a good place to do like an outlaw star-esque sort of
Mm.
traveling the planes in a cool mecha spaceship that can probably turn into a robot because why not?
Yeah, because after like the new Phyrexia invasion, um one of the districts in Kamigawa, Boseiju, the tree was destroyed and it started leaking the glistening oil. So there is some sort of stuff going on down on the ground, but that's to be continued, I guess, too. Like I said, they have creatures that turn into equipment and so on. I'm sure there's some combination that hasn't been done yet that they could throw into the mix.
I
Yeah, I
think
think
we talked about it before, but I think like a Voltron mechanic of like just building um your Exodia but
Oh,
with magic cards, I think that would be sick. Because like we have the what are they like meld creatures and stuff like that,
yeah,
but making it to where it's more than just two cards and making it five would be crazy and insane. And I think that Kamigawa would be
yeah,
the setting
melding
for
and
that.
crafting.
Yeah,
Perfect.
yeah. Not
yeah,
like I've like bringing Kaladesh type stuff over, like with
yeah,
the artifacts and building. Yeah,
yeah, energy makes sense here. Energy also
Oh,
like
true.
almost doing we are almost kind of melding worlds between the mutate mechanic in
Yeah,
Ikoria and the kind of modular tendencies of the different creatures in Kamigawa. So we're getting to where we can be kind of combining like beast and machine. So who knows? Maybe we can take some of these elements and planes and mush them together in some meaningful way.
yeah, and I think the sci-fi setting lends itself to this a little bit better than like the typical fantasy setting of like a magic set. Because yeah, you could, I don't know, I'm just more interested in sci-fi in general. There's just
I think a really cool like Kamigawa
more zany stuff.
Ikoria crossover set wouldn't be insane. Just because of where Kamigawa's at and what's coming out of Ikoria, I think they would
Yeah.
work really
You're
well
literally
together.
describing Pacific Rim.
Right?
Hold up.
Oh man.
We'd get the best of both worlds.
Exactly.
Thank you, Hannah Montana.
Oh man, that was very nice. Good. Everyone holds hands points for the table.
We are one.
Yes.
Really came
The,
together.
We are the
any
world.
That's pretty much all I have though. I mean, yeah, take it away.
Yeah, so I do really like that. I think just the general how many different cool like Japanese influences go into that plane. Can you can get like anime references, you can get kaiju references, you can get su it's such a like wealth of culture
Oh,
to pull from that you can really take it anywhere. So just the uh also has like a thinly veiled excuse for cool giant robots and
yeah.
everything in between. So, absolutely still has legs.
Yeah, if I'm not wrong, I think this set may have been the first to feature like anime artists as like alternate arts and then eventually some secret layers. And then now they're pretty much on every set now.
And kind of to bridge it over to Sam, there's Hatsume Miku's Child of Alara.
Perfect.
We don't need to talk about that.
We don't talk about
Goodness.
Miko. No, no, no.
Man, any
I say
oh
before
goodness.
we get too crazy, I think you should just take over, Josh, and kind of let us know what you want to see in Kaldheim.
For breaking the order though, you would be next.
Are we? Am I?
Yeah. Wait, Emma, no, no, never mind. You're right.
No,
Man,
you're.
I'm doing an awful job at being a moderator here.
Whoa.
Okay.
No.
Ah,
No, you're great at it. No, you keep going, buddy.
No,
We'll go out
keep
for
keep
pizza
it up. Keep it
afterwards.
up.
Yeah, everyone loves you. Okay, yes. So, what I want to see happen next in Kaldheim. So, as alluded by Sam, the World Tree got burnt in an attempt to keep it from the Phyrexians, who would have done absolutely disgusting things with it. So, but in the original Kaldheim, uh, we have ourselves Tybalt, who got chomped on by Vorinclex, and then he got bested by Tyvar and Kaya. So, what I kind of want to happen is I want Tybalt to somehow miraculously survive all of this with all of his chicanery, have a little bit of Phyrexian in him, and have an opportunity to build up a big bad guy who is both combination Chaos Incarnate and Phyrexian. And then all the forces of Kaldheim and all the realms that are displaced by the burning of the World Tree combine forces in a way to try to go against the corruption that Tybalt has put place for the planes, and that I think would be a fun story direction for it. And again, another excuse to smush all the different creature types together and maybe even splash some Phyrexian into them as well and set the stage for a huge battle again and like attempt to keep the Phyrexians from trying to resurge in any capacity. I'm not the best lore historian, so if there might be holes that prevent this from happening, but if
I
it
can help
can
you with
work out
that.
this way.
I could help
Okay,
you with that easily.
Sam, bail me out.
So because Ella Schnorn was killed due to the Phyrexian invasion, she was like the mind hive, the host of it. And so when she died, she was no longer in control of the Phyrexians, so now they have their own thought of their own. So if Tybalt did survive, he could be his own Phyrexian. And because the trees burnt down, nobody can leave the plane easily now. So it could be his own little machination.
That would be scary.
So he got completed? Is that it?
Well, no, it just says that he
No,
got
Is
mauled
that
he
by,
potential?
got eated.
yeah.
He got
So
heated.
there's a chance that the any of the oil got off of Vorinclex merged with the DNA of Tybalt. So obviously it's wild.
Ooh, Venom.
That he could somehow reconstruct himself because the spark's not gone. So that tells you something.
He could be more like a Carnage type, I guess.
Could be. He could be the big baddie.
Yeah, so put Tibble up as the big baddie and then find a way for the realms to like Omen Path after the World Tree's burnt or just have like a big or who knows, Tibble might do a Doomscar somehow even without the World Tree in some capacity to get the realms to be like, hey, I'm here, square up. And
Mhm.
that could be pretty sick to watch go down. So I do think there is some story potential. I do appreciate Sam for helping fill in some of the holes there lore-wise to make it possible.
I can give you one more.
Ooh, thank you.
You technically also don't know what happened to the original Valky.
Oh, wasn't he trapped in a tree?
No, he
Or
was trapped in ice.
oh, yeah.
Ooh,
And
So
that's
Captain
how
America.
Tybalt froze him in ice, assumed the position of Valky, and you don't know anything that happened to him after that, at least as far
ooh,
as I know.
the burning of the World Tree does make fire, and that does tend to have an effect on ice.
Oh,
Wouldn't it be
Science.
crazy if, like, Tybalt getting eaten, his blood mixed with Vorinclex, and then the ashes of the World Tree went into that too. So now he's got, like, Vorinclex inside of him and the World Tree, and he just comes back and he's just absolutely insane and becomes one of the best, like, planeswalkers ever.
is Vorinclex accounted for right now? What's he been up to?
He was defeated in Kaldheim.
Hmm. Nah, no word since.
So
Oh,
all the
okay.
Phyrexians I think, are dead.
Oh. Yay.
So power vacuum.
Yep, so, power vacuum right for Tybalt's taking. So I think that would be the direction I want it to go next.
Yeah.
Also, reprise the artists I mentioned before for some sick art with Richard Luong, Jeff Miracola, and DZO. On those arts, I think it's just going, and then Phyrexian it up a little bit with like that cool metal style, just make it brutal as heck. Let's go. That's my pitch for where I want Kaldheim to go.
I think it's definitely doable.
Yeah, I feel like they're definitely primed for a comeback. At least, yeah.
Yep. Then Nathan, what happens next with Ikoria?
All right. So story wise, I want to see uh, what's gone on since the invasion. Since there was a natural mutation of glistening oil that aided the monsters in defeating and defending the plane, like what happened next? Since Vorinclex took out most of the devastation on the humans and left the monsters alone, do we get a plane that's just all insane monsters? Or did the monsters work to save like the humans that were left over since they were like, oh shoot, maybe we should be friends? And then did the 10 companion legendaries mutate more? Like, did they get bigger? Are they more insane? What's going on with them? And then are Kongla and Yadaro, since they kind of paired up and they were the main defenders during the invasion? Are they running the plane? Like, are they the masters of the plane now, or what's going on there? And then design wise, I'd love to see more building of the mutate and companion mechanics. Um, I do think that updating them, making them a little less crowded and easier to understand in text boxes would be super awesome for people to be able to use them a little bit easier. I'd love for partner to be brought into this plane. I think
Hmm.
that being able to build off of that, since it hasn't really been used a ton lately, and being able to give like, just building off and having really cool partners with some of these insane mutate creatures would be nuts. Um, and then I'd also like to see some more fun treatments of cards, like comic book versions, other big monster throwbacks, and yeah. And then while I know this hasn't been a super long time, it's just 5 years. I think there's still a ton that we can tap into and have fun with. I think that having, you know, 247 unique cards, we can build way more. Um, and then with the development name of Monster Island, they use Skull Island first, and then they changed it to Monster Island. I mean, why not just go back and create more crazy monsters? There's a whole bunch more that you can tap into. I know the design team of Mark Rosewater, Andrew Veen, Corey Bowen, David Humphreys, Peter Lee, and then the development team of David Humphreys as the lead, Andrew Brown, George Fan, Donald Smith Jr., Jared Chintao, and
What name
Gavin
drops? Oh my
Verhey.
God.
They can get together. They can make it happen. They already made it happen once. Let's do it again. Let's run it back.
There's also two abilities that they could build off in that: devour and evolve.
Oh yeah,
Ooh,
most
that's
definitely.
fun. I like that a lot. Also, I would, with reprising characters, I would love for Lutri to finally have justice and be a playable card and commander. I
Justice for Lutri.
absolutely that we are we are all Lutri stands at Hexproof from Ward, and just cannot support that little furry fellow enough.
It is
Yes,
Otter Chaos that he does not have a playable version.
yes.
Well, you got into
Also, yeah,
what, 3 days? Maybe it's unbanned. Who knows?
yeah, fingers crossed. But I do love like the opportunity to take the mutate mechanic and then clarify it, maybe do something physical on the card to show how they would stack and how they would read would be really cool. Maybe even making them dual modal, so whenever like the back, if you're just contributing the ability, you flip it to the backside and then that ability is getting stacked. I think there are like ways to represent this cool mechanic in a way that is a little more player friendly.
Definitely. I think that would make it way easier.
Yeah, I think companions, some things that you mentioned, the companion mechanic is really cool. So new companions would be cool. And then also the partner, because the realm has, or because the plane has the dichotomy between the humans and the creatures and like them being friends, it'd be cool to see like partners with beast or partners with human to kind of like can kind of limit some of the possibilities, but in a way that makes sense to the plane of Ikoria.
Yeah, definitely.
It keeps it from people just doing the like the threat. What is it? The
Thrasios
the.
and Vile Smasher.
Thank you. My brain was leaking out of my ears.
Yeah, it's like I have that deck or something.
Yeah, had it on.
Vials of Fish.
Yes, but yeah, I think everyone brought up some points. Brought up great points. I want to also give a shout out to Sam for being an absolute trooper and fighting through his sore throat and everything to get to this point in the episode. So, uh, bonus point for Sam. Uh, but so the part that everyone has been waiting for, who won the great plane debate of 2025? I gotta be honest, I didn't actually keep count of the points, so we're going to we are actually going to leave it to the listeners and viewers. So if you are watching this or listening to it on YouTube, Spotify, or you're like following the link on Reddit, comment where you can on who you think won. Or if we are all idiots and there's a plane that we should be going to instead, we want to hear that too.
Yeah, and we'll put a poll up on Spotify and YouTube where you can vote on the poll too. But any kind of comments or anything like that would be super awesome.
Yeah, does this episode resolve?
I think it resolves.
Yep,
I
yes,
can't
sir.
wait
I
to see
think
what
so
happens
too.
next.